Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new tutorial. Now today, I'm going to be going over Breath of the Wild's glitch known as Bomb Impact Launches, or BILs for short. Now in today's video, I'm going to be going over every single method of how to BIL, and I'm also going to be going over troubleshooting for each one of them, going over some of the most common mistakes that people make, and also how to tell what you're doing wrong to hopefully help you guys out figuring out how to BIL for yourself. I'm also going to be including timestamps in the description of the video for every single method and for each troubleshooting part, as well as a general troubleshooting part towards the end. But without further ado, let's jump straight into the video, shall we? Alright, starting off, I'm going to go over the beginner method. Now, the first beginner method that I recommend everyone to start with when learning BILs is the backflip method. Now, for the backflip method, basically all you want is an area that has a flat surface and a little ledge. For this situation, I actually purposely picked the Great Plateau Tower because it's something that you unlock very early on, and it's going to be something that everyone has access to. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go up to this ledge. In this situation, I'm just going to be looking straight up here towards this map. And I also recommend you to set your minimap, by the way, to always face north, which is to basically lower the chance of getting lag stopped, which I'll get into in the troubleshooting section. But either way, at this point, I'm going to be looking straight forward and I'm going to go up to this ledge. Then what I want you to do is I want you to hold the target button and I want you to basically backflip twice. So 1 and 2. At this point, I want you to place the bomb. And without moving Link, I want you to continue to hold the ZL button because you never want to let go of the target button. At this point, what I recommend you to do is take a small step back and then do a front jump. Then I recommend you to take a little step forward again, since I did take a step back. And then you basically want to do another forward jump, sorry, like this. This should put you on the ledge. If you don't, then just keep jumping until you have this. The reasoning I told you to never let go of the ZL button is you want to make sure that you're perfectly aligned in front of the bomb. So now I'm sure that my camera is perfect and my positioning is perfect because I never let go of it. Then when you're here, I want you to switch over to the circular bomb, and I basically want you to backflip and then immediately afterwards press the ZR button to take out the bow. Now, I want to make sure that I'm gonna make this clear. Do not hold this button. A lot of people like to hold this button a little bit too long, which makes them want to shoot the bow. You do not want to do that. You want to tap it. So you only take out the bow, not actually aiming the bow. And if you do that correctly, it should look something like this. Now, I'm going to be holding D-pad up to make this buffer, so it's a little bit more clear what I'm going to be doing right now. But what this entire setup is based upon is looking at your stamina bar. Now, when you do this a lot more, you kind of get a feeling for how close you are to the ground. But in generally, I recommend you to follow the stamina rule. So, it doesn't matter if you have 1 wheel, 2 wheels, or 3 wheels of stamina. However, this method does use a bit of stamina, so I recommend you to at least have some upgraded. But basically, you want to look for 3/4 of a full wheel of stamina to be used up. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, let me let a little bit of time go by. This is 1/4. That's what I mean. Basically, you want 3/4 of it to go through. On top of that as well, to make it slightly more consistent due to lag, I recommend you as well to make the camera go a little bit higher up. And you have quite a lot of time for this, since 3/4 is how you wait for. So I'm just going to release this and hold. You can even like hold up right now to make it easier for you. So I'm going to look up anyways. At this point, I'm going to wait until 3/4 of the bar has passed. Then what I'm going to do is press the L button to drop the bomb, and immediately afterwards press the D-pad up button again, which is going to look something like this. At this point, I want you to switch to the first bomb that you placed, and then all you want to do is release D-pad up and press the L button to make the first bomb explode, and it should look like this. And if you got it correctly, as you can see, you perfectly do a BIL and you're now on your way to go. Now, there's a couple of things I want to mention of common ways to fail this, and in general some good troubleshooting to make this much more consistent, because if you try this yourself, I'm sure you notice a few ways this can fail. First thing that a lot of people do wrong is they basically go what is known as Lagstop. Now, Lagstop is basically when there's too much things going on in the game and they end up actually getting stopped and it didn't work thanks to lag. Now, there's no guarantee way to make this not happen, but there's a couple of good rule of thumbs that makes this slightly more consistent so it happens less frequently. Number one is to be closer to direct angles such as north, south, west, and east. So, for example, I would prefer to get an angle that is here to here rather than a direct upright angle, because it's less likely to work. It can still work, and the backflip method is actually more generous with this than any other method I'm going to go over. However, I still recommend it to look more straight. Second thing, I recommend you to also, if you're just doing testing or if you want to do this for fun, is in generally to be in an area where it's not too laggy. This area is actually one of the laggier ones, and that's why I picked this. Because if I look forward here, as you can see, there's actually a good amount of stuff going on in the game. And that's why I wanted to mention that you want to look up. If you're looking up, then there's less things that's actually being loaded on the screen, so there's less lag. However, if you are actually facing, let's say, not like, down in this case, or to the left even, you're going to be having the bomb explosion on the screen, you're going to have a bunch of objects on the screen like this forest here. So in general, I recommend you to try and look up on the camera. Then, another thing too, like I mentioned earlier, is to make sure that you're tapping the button, because if you hold it slightly too long, it might end up looking something in the lines of this. And you don't want that. Technically, I am still in bullet time mode, but in general, this is not good. I changed my angle, so this is not going to work. Another thing too, is that a lot of people struggle with entering bullet time mode from the ledge, because they end up doing something like this. This is because you need to press the ZR button at the exact first moment of time when you do the jump. So you want to make sure that you immediately press the button immediately. Now, let me do a full example of how I would do it with everything in this in mind, of making this as consistent as possible. So what would I do? Backflip, backflip, take out the bomb. I would jump forward, switch to circular bomb, backflip, take out bow, look upwards, wait, drop bomb switch, explode, and off we go. That is basically hands down how you want to do the backflip setup for BILs in Breath of the Wild. If you still have any trouble with it, feel free to ask me in the comment section, but that should go over generally most of the troubles of what you might stumble upon when you're trying to do this trick. And now let's move on to the next method, and there's going to be two methods going to be going over in the next part. This is going to be the two methods of jumping from a ledge, and also spider BIL, which is done by climbing an area and jumping from that. And this is going to be medium difficulty instead of beginner friendly. So let's switch to that. Now, the next method I'm going to go over is the actual ledge method. Now, this is the most common one you will see, and it's also a bit difficult to do at first. Why? Because it requires a lot of inputs and a perfect rhythm. So, what do you want to do for this? Well, first off, this is going to be using a different order. You're actually going to be dropping the circular bomb first, and you're going to be getting hit by the square bomb. What does this mean? Well, that actually means that it's more important for what angle you have. Why? Well, if I just jump and take out this bomb, you're going to see that it's always going to be facing this way. What I mean by that, even if I'm facing up right and I jump and take out the bomb here, you're going to see that it's still going to be facing this way. So it's always facing the straight directions, north, south, west, and east. Now, why is this important? Well, it actually causes a situation where if you hit the corner of a bomb, there's more likely that you're going to be stopped in your BIL than if you're getting hit on a flat surface. Now, it can still work no matter what angle you have. However, it is less likely to work. So I recommend you to still have a straight angle. Now, for this, what I want you to do is start off by preparing to have one of the circular bomb out and be at the ledge, and then hold the target button. Now, what you need to do is you need to do a forward jump. Immediately after doing the forward jump, I want you to take out the bomb and then press the ZR button to enter bullet time mode. Now, it is going to basically look something in the lines of this. Jump forward, like by doing this motion, so holding ZL and then pressing forward and jump. Immediately after you do this, you want to then end up pressing the L button. So you're going to do this. Now, when you got that down, the last part you need to do is add in the ZR press. So it's going to look something like this. When you have that motion down, you're ready to go to a ledge now. So stand at a ledge, jump forward, and do that entire motion. So jump forward, bomb, ZR. Now, I immediately press D-pad up so that I'm basically ready to buffer this. But what you do then is you want you to switch to the second bomb, and you basically want to go into midair and then drop this bomb, switch to the first bomb, and explode it. And if you did that correctly, you're officially going to be getting a BIL. Now, there's a few things to mention before I get to the troubleshooting part about this type of BIL. Why is that? Well, as you can see, I got mostly height from this. I actually didn't get a lot of distance. Why? Because it actually makes a big difference in how you are timing this bomb. The other method, the first backflip method I went over, is great for distances, but it's not great for height. So, how do you get around this? Well, it basically comes down to being a little bit more advanced, and that's why it's not as beginner friendly, and that's why in the beginning, I recommend you to, in generally, just make something work in the first place. But if you want to get a little bit more advanced, it comes down to how you are basically spacing out your bombs. So, if I jump and I press the ZL button, or the L button to drop the bomb, and then the bow later, then the bombs are going to be closer to each other, so you're going to be hit more upwards. But if I place the first bomb earlier, then it's going to be further away, hitting it in a more direct angle instead of upwards angle. So let me try and get one where it's basically gaining me more height. So then I would basically jump forward, press L immediately, and then wait a little bit of time before I press the ZR button to enter the bow. And it might look something like this. As you can see now, the bomb is pretty far away from me instead of right behind my back. But same thing still applies. Drop this bomb, switch to the first one, explode it, and you're good. Now, I actually still got a good amount of height on that one, but I am having more forward momentum than I previously had. So, as you can see, that does make a big difference. Now, I'm going to go over into some troubleshooting parts and some general tips for how to get this down easier. So, some common troubleshooting parts. First of all, the most common thing I see when people pick this up in the beginning is that they like to hold the ZR button too long, just like the first step. So, they press it, so they actually start aiming with their bow. If you do that, you're going to not only change the angle, but also you're also changing basically how Link is moving in midair. Because if you jump forward and you enter bullet time mode and you're aiming to the right, for example, by accident, then Link is going to be going slightly to the right, which is going to be an issue. So make sure you're tapping the ZR button instead of holding it. So you always want to make sure that you're basically just entering bullet time mode, never aiming with the actual bow itself. You want to make sure of that. When you get that part figured out, another thing to keep in mind too is, like I mentioned earlier, lag. And this one is very important to not go for these angles. It can still work and there are ways around it, but to keep this simple, try and avoid at all costs those angles. So I recommend you to look forward, and you can go a little bit to the right, like maybe, something like this, but I don't recommend you to go for these ones. It's better in general to look more forward, or maybe in this case, let's say I want to go up left, more like this. And try and just hold left while you're flying with a paraglider to angle yourself again. Or if let's say I want to reach that shrine right there, maybe instead you would BIL over to this flagpole and then BIL from the flagpole straight up there, because then it's two straight angles and it's going to be a lot more consistent for you. Another thing too, like I said, is the spacing of these bombs. Now, it is, like I said, pretty generous, and also it is pretty advanced, learning the timing for how to get height and stuff like that in general. One thing that I found when I was learning this kind of BIL, when I first started this off, is actually a pretty good method, and it also helps you to not get lag stopped as much. This is how I started off doing this trick. So what I would do is I would jump forward, take out the bomb, and then enter bullet time mode. Then I would switch to this bomb, and I would immediately drop this bomb. And then I would switch back to the first bomb, and then like this. Then what I would do is I would basically start holding C up, and the second the camera had moved all the way up, I would then explode the bomb. And that was my cue for knowing how well they were spaced. And because you're looking up, you're reducing the amount of lag. So this is kind of what I did in the beginning then. So I would just be holding up on the C stick here and release D-pad up, and then the second you see the camera is facing all the way up in the air, press the L button to make the bomb explode. Now, basically when Link disappears. And as you can see, you get your BIL. Now, this is more for distance than height specifically, if you're doing that kind of cue with looking up and then exploding it when Link disappears. But it is still like a really good way. I mean, as you can see, I still made it pretty damn far from this end of the platform. So this is generally a very good method that I would recommend if you're starting things off. Now, on to the next part. And this is going to be spider BILs, or what is known as wall BILs. For spider or wall BILs, all you want to do is find somewhere that you can grab onto. This could be the tower right here. This could be a wall over here on the, the Great Plateau, this could be a tree, this can basically be anything. Now, when you're ready to grab this wall, you need to know that you can basically do two things. If I don't hold anything and I press the X button, I'm actually going to be doing a jump. However, if I start holding backwards on the controller, so I'm climbing downwards against the surface, and then I press the jump button, Link is going to do this. He's going to jump straight away from the wall. Now, this is the important part. Basically, what you want to do is you want to be on a ledge, and you can be anywhere on the ledge. And the surface in general, you want it to be fairly flat, but that's usually fine because all trees are like that. So there's a lot of places where you can find something that's in generally pretty flat, so it's not angling you back or up. So what you want to do is you want to have the circular bomb prepared. Then you want to start holding down and press the jump button to do that. Then it's the exact same timing as what I went over before. You just want to press the L button and then the ZR button immediately, and it will look something like this. Now, this is actually a situation where I did the ZR press too late, and I was planning to go over this in the troubleshooting part, but I'll go over it right now. You can see that the bomb had a lot of time to drop because I pressed the ZR button too late. If this happens that the bomb is not behind Link, but really far underneath Link, it meant you did this too late, and this will not probably work, so I recommend you start over. So, let's try that again. Jump, L, and ZR. Now I did it perfectly. I basically did bam immediately upon each other. Now you can see the bomb is basically behind Link. What you want to do now is switch this bomb, then drop it and press the D-pad up button immediately. Then switch back to the first bomb and yes, press explode. And bam, you got a lot of height and you got your BIL. And that is basically all you have to do. That's why I say that these two are kind of intertwined into each other, because all this comes down to is having your timing down for pressing the L button and the ZR button at a good time. That's why these are very, very similar, and if you learn one of them, the other one won't be difficult, because you just need to know how to do L and then ZR, so drop bomb and enter slow-mo. And this is also pretty generous, because if you have a hard time doing a lot of inputs, you can start holding down immediately, so you only have to worry about pressing jump and then L and ZR. So basically like this, hold down, jump, LR, and bam. This actually I waited slightly longer, but this could still work if I'm a little bit fortunate. So let's see. And yes, it still worked. And as you can see, the bomb was slightly further down there, so I actually got even more height than I had previously. Now, there's not too much to go over when it comes to the troubleshooting part. On this one, dead angles like the up right, up left, etc. can still happen, but it's not as common with this specific method. So in general, you don't have to worry about the angles as much. And also on top of that as well, you don't have to worry about moving the camera at all to make yourself look away. Because for a lot of the walls you're climbing a mountain, you're climbing in generally something that actually is already covering a lot of the screen. So there's usually less stuff on the screen to have to worry about in the first place. Maybe if you're in a really, really tight forest area, you could worry about it. But in general, this is pretty nice. So the only thing really to look out for is knowing if you mistimed your bomb. So I'm going to do this purposely in a bad manner now. So let's do this. As you can see right now, I pressed the L button and the ZR button pretty late after the jump. This gives you more freedom with basically when you're taking out basically the spacing in between the jump and the L and ZR. And this can still work, but as you can see, this angle, if you're fortunate, it might still work, but in general, those bombs were not aligned to push you a lot forward, and that first bomb was dropping rapidly, so it was barely even able to hit that second bomb and push you up. And the last thing to keep in mind with this is, like I said in the beginning, is making sure that you're not waiting too long in between the bomb drops, because then the second bomb, or the first bomb you dropped, might not be in a good positioning because it might have been too far up or too far down, and it might not end up working. But as you can see in general, even though I got bad speed there, it's in general a pretty consistent method, and I actually really like this method. I found this pretty easy to learn, so I recommend everyone to pick this up. Now, on to the third one, and this is in my opinion the hardest one, but some people that have a hard time doing a lot of quick inputs in a short amount of time actually find this the easiest method. So, let's get over that. So, for the last one, I want to go over mid-airs. Now, in general with mid-airs, it's most commonly done in speedruns to actually combine BILs. So it would probably, for example, look something in the lines of this. So you do a BIL. Oh, I didn't get enough height. Okay, so straighten myself out, and then you want to do another one, and you do this. Now, why is this important that I'm mentioning this immediately? Well, it's because this actually will change slightly what you want to keep in mind for how you're doing this BIL. Because if you're really high up about everything, most things basically lose their fine details and textures. As you can see right now, the trees in the bottom kind of look like Pokemon Sword and Shield trees, right? They're not actually looking that great. So, because of that, it means that you don't have to worry about basically getting lag stopped as much, which means that getting angles that are in between, like up right and up left and stuff like that, are not as essential. I'm quickly going to make it daytime again because it's raining, which is going to add more lag, which is going to make this a bit more complicated. So, now, Mid Air BILs. There's two different methods that people like to use for Mid Air BILs. One is the differences are basically timing how you're putting the forward analog stick in, and also if you purely want distance or if you purely want height, because only getting distance is a lot easier than wanting to get more height. Now, why is that? Well, I'm going to go over all of that right now. So first off, I'm going to heal myself. Now, for the distance only one, which is the easiest midair to learn, it requires a lot of stamina. But for a normal BIL, it doesn't really require that much. So what do I want to do now? Well, I'm going to go over how to do a midair, and I'm going to go over the two methods for timing your analog stick. Here are the two different methods. So for first off, gaining height. The most essential one and the one that is used the most in speedruns that can allow you to get a lot of height and distance. Now, what do you want to do? Basically, you want to space out your first bomb and your second bomb perfectly. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, first off, let me just get a lot of height so that I'm basically up in the sky. So I have a lot of time to explain this. Now, when I'm flying forward, if I would drop the bomb and then enter bullet time mode, as you can see, the bomb is already really far away from me, which means that this is a situation where a distance one is good, not a height one. Now, if I want to try and time it so that they're better spaced, then what you want to do is you want to stop holding forward. Now, this is where the two different methods come in. What I like to do is fly forward, stop flying so you're stationary, then press forward and the bomb button at the same time. So basically pressing like in almost like a crab motion where I'm pressing forward and then L at the same time. This is going to make it so that, this is too late, but this is going to make it so that the bombs are much better spaced out. The other method that some people like to do this is by basically holding forward and then releasing forward, and then a slight amount of time afterwards press the L button. So it looks something like this. Kind of like that. Now, I don't like to do that because it often makes me space out the bombs too much, but those are the two methods to want to do that. Now, the next part, obviously. The next part is going to be adding in the actual bomb explosion timing for this. So, let's get to it. Alright, so I've gained myself some height right now. I have both the bombs available. What do I want to do? Well, first off, I want to make sure that I'm facing the right way of where I want to go. So I'm going to take out the bow right here so that I'm facing completely forward, and then I'm going to go stationary. Then immediately after go stationary, I'm going to release it, press forward, and basically press the L button at the same time. And then about half a second later, you want to press the ZR button. After you press the ZR button, you can now see that the bomb is moving towards the bottom of the screen, and you want to be very fast in these motions. So what you want to do right now is you want to switch to this bomb, press L and D-pad up immediately afterwards. And then immediately afterwards, press this bomb again and explode it. And if you get that timing down, then you're gonna get a midair. Now, if I want to chain this, I want to make sure that I'm killing my momentum because I actually have too much momentum right now. So I'm gonna press basically the B button and the paraglider to kill my BIL speed. Release, press forward at the same time as I'm pressing the bomb, switch, press the first bomb. Now I can see that the bomb was slightly higher on my screen because of the timing. So I actually have a little bit more leeway now to do this. But in generally, still want to be pretty quick. So switch back, L, and you're good. And that's kind of the thing about the mid-airs. Mid-airs, to do it consistently, you need to get a feeling for it because you kind of need to be able to examine the bomb in place of where it's going on the screen. That's why I recommend you in general to kind of have a basically kind of an angle that's the camera facing backwards of Link and looking at where the first bomb dropped. So let's do this again. It's pretty in the bottom of the screen. You want to be rapid. Bam, bam. And as you can see right there, it actually did not work. Now, there's a couple of things that could make that happen. Number one, I'm closer to the ground. Or number two, the timing was off. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with this. And it's pretty hard to basically know exactly when troubleshooting what you did wrong right there. So that's why this method can be a little bit janky at times. I'm going to warp away to a safer area and the area that has less lag quickly. Okay, so now let's say that you're struggling a bit with the height mid-air BILs, which is very understandable. It's a pretty difficult method, but let's say you maybe nailed the ground method, or you maybe nailed the spider method when you're climbing a wall, and you want to add a distance BIL in mid-air so that you can gain height and then gain more distance. So how would you do the mid-air one? Well, first off, let's do a spider one right here. Okay, I got my distance and I'm flying right now, and I would like a bit more speed. What do you want to do? Well, first off, line yourself up to be completely straight. So take out the bow and bam. Now what I want you to do in this case is I want you to fly completely forward. And this is the one time I'll tell you to actually look at the bomb. And this is why I'm saying that this is only used for chaining a height one, because you're looking at the bomb to time this, which is going to increase lag. But because you're already so high up above the ground, it shouldn't make that big of a difference. So what are you going to do? Well, I want you to hold, what I prefer to do is hold right on the analog stick and make basically the camera look at Link like this. Then what I want you to do is press the L button and then the ZR button at the same, like right after each other, like all the other ones, like this. Now, what I want you to do next is switch to this bomb, wait a little bit, drop that bomb, and then switch back to the first one. And then I actually want you to wait and look for the two bombs lining up to each other. So as you can see right now, the first bomb is in a pretty good line with the second bomb. So you would imagine that the first bomb is probably going to explode the second bomb forward, and it should be able to hit my back. So if that's lining up perfectly, then all you want to do is release D-pad up and press the L button. Now, I actually waited a bit too long right there, so I actually did get my distance one. However, I actually went a little bit downwards, and that's why this one is only used for distance. Now, that was actually a pretty bad mid-air, but you can see that even though my timing was bad, and in my opinion, I actually did not time that well at all, it still worked. And that's in general the beauty of chaining the mid-airs, is that you're basically able to just very, very rapidly gain distance without having to worry about it too much. Now, let's do that again with one. So fly forward, drop the bomb, press ZR, switch over. I actually timed this pretty well, so the bomb is actually already on about the height of Link's feet. So I'm gonna drop the first bomb immediately now. Switch back, wait, pretty straight line, explode the bomb, and as you can see, it hit me. And yes, that wasn't a great one, but in general, you get the idea. You'll get a much better feeling for how to do this. And the better feeling you get for this, the more consistent it's going to be. How I would do it is something in the lines of this. Wait, drop the bomb so it's not too low on me, explode it, and bam. Because I waited slightly longer on the second one, it actually wasn't as low down, which meant that I was fortunate enough to not get pushed downwards. So you can play around with that a little bit and get a pretty good feeling for it. Now, after all of that being said, that is the 4 main methods of how to do BILs. But I am not done with the video yet, because what I want to go over quickly is something that I mentioned for all 4 of these methods, and that was Lagstop. How do I know if I messed up the glitch or if Lagstop did? Now, I'm going to actually give you a visual demonstration of the difference in between most commonly what it's going to look like if you fail the timing and if Lagstop did. Alright, so I've now switched to an even laggier area, lots of lag, trees everywhere, and I'm going to go against everything that I've just mentioned. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a Cronus block right here. I'm going to look straight at a dead angle, so I'm going to look at up left, very much up left. I'm going to basically do a BIL. I'm not going to look up right here, which I should, and hopefully this will cause a lot of lag, and you'll get a good idea of how a Lagstop will look like. Bam. As you can see right there, and I'm going to slow down that clip on the screen, you're going to notice that basically I was doing the BIL and I actually initially got it, and then I actually ended up just getting flipped upwards straight, and then it just got stopped dead track. That's how you know that it was purely due to that fact. If both these bomb explodes and Link ends up rolling over, most of the time it's because you ended up messing up the timing. But if it looks like you actually got it, but you didn't roll over and get damaged, but instead it just kind of stopped you dead in track, then it was most likely due to lag. But as you can see right there, even in the laggiest areas of the game, it can still work. It's just pretty funky with how the game likes to lag stop you. So let's try this again. It did end up working. Let's try to do one with a dead angle from climbing a tree right here. As you can see, I'm not facing as much anymore now. Okay, jumping off, taking out the bomb, bam. As you can see, I got it. I started to speed up a lot, and then I just dropped dead in track, landed on my feet, meant I got basically stopped by the lag. Now, I hope that goes over most of the problems that you might have been having with this game. In general, when it comes to you testing, when you want to learn this, in general, when it comes to testing this, I don't recommend you to actually go to an area that is this laggy. So if I'm doing a speed run and I'm going to be doing it in this area right here, I would actually be doing a lot of different things. For example, I would be going up on the block right here, let's say. I would be making sure that I'm making it even harder. I'm not looking at myself at all. I'm going to be looking all the way up. I'm just going to be going by the rhythm. And I'm going to explode the bomb because I'm doing everything in my power to try and reduce lag. And even while looking up in some areas, it's still not enough. And I make sure that I have a straight angle. There's a lot of things I'm keeping in mind. And there's also even more things. For example, some areas have a lot of has a lot of objects around you. You can't look away. Or there's a wind going on, so the bomb is getting pushed to the side. Or the weather is bad. It's raining. It's thundering. You get the idea. There's a lot of situations where it's incredibly difficult. When it comes to speedrunners and learning how to do these BILs, you basically start memorizing what situations you want to be doing for each individual one. For example, I memorized in my 100% speedrun that one of the BILs in this forest, you have to look up and you aim at 430 degrees, nothing else. In this area, I make sure to always look up and to go for straight angles at every single time. There's a lot of these situations like that. There was a very good idea right here when you're in between the dueling peaks here. Even if you have a straight angle and even if you're looking up, this area is funky. There's wind going on. No matter where you're looking, there's two mountains, which is a lot on the screen. There's water there. There's enemies there. There's not a lot of ways of getting around getting the BIL in the first place. And also, even if you get it properly without getting lag stop, your speed is almost always very, very, very low. So, in general, this is a very complicated trick, and there are so many factors that go into this, and that's why BILs is one of the most advanced techniques to really get consistently in any of the Zelda games, because there are so many variables for every single thing you want to do. But that'll be it for the video. I hope this helped you out. If you still have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below, and I'll try and answer as many as I can. However, it is pretty difficult to catch up all the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to join my Twitch chat, twitch.tv/Linkus7. I stream there 5-6 times a week, and I do speedruns of Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker, so I'll do my very best to answer as many questions as I can if you're still having troubles there as well. But either way, that'll be it for today. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitch. I love you all tons. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Later, everybody. Bye-bye.